Folks, Matt Marrash here. In my last selenium toning print video, I had a listener question from Chris Pearson in Accord, New York, asking, Matt, I want to get into fiber-based papers, but I hear they curl a lot. Is there anything I can do to prevent curling? Well, there's three main methods of drying your prints, and I'm going to go over two of those three major ways today because I can show you. So we have a selenium tone fiber-based print that's final washed for another 30 minutes after selenium toning, and we're ready to get it dry. So we're going to take it out of our tray. We're going to drip off any excess water, and then we're going to slap it on a piece of clean piece of glass or plexi, something kind of nice and thick, but any rigid, sturdy surface will do. I could even use this metal, but it's kind of dirty from students using it all year long. So I'm going to take my my nice 12-inch squeegee for this 11 by 14 print, and I'm going to drag it along the surface and just get any excess water off of there that I don't want during drying. And the first method, and the method I most recommend to folks, is to take this squeegeed print and place it on a mesh drying screen. You can buy this mesh material at Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, any of your local home improvement stores, and stretch it yourself on some wood or metal. I recommend metal. You can also buy these pre-assembled. You can get these off of used printers, printmaking houses, photographers, lots of different places. And your prints, this guy's been on here for 20-30 minutes now. You see the corners are starting to curl. But the curl actually isn't that bad, guys. After it curls, you can lay it under some weight or some books. This guy's been sitting under books for, oh gosh, actually a long time. But, the longer it sits under the weight, the much flatter it's going to get. This is very acceptably flat for hinge mounting into a frame, or over matting, and then hinge mounting, and then it's just ready to go. So this guy is already showing significant curling. I'm going to dry mount press these, and once it gets under the heat, that's fine. Chris also asked about a dry mount press, and if you can't afford a dry mount press, I hear you can use a dry hot iron and two very clean pieces of mat board. The cleanliness and the flatness of the mat board are very, very important because you have a soft, supple gelatin emulsion layer that will take up any shape you give it that's not flat. So, I don't want to lose the beautiful smooth tonality of this by adding rough texture and modeling from excessive heat and pressure from something that wasn't completely flat. And the other method for drying your prints is, so we take it out of the water and we squeegee not one but two prints back to back. So an example, I'd take those two, place them back to back, and then I'd hang them to dry in my film cabinet. But I've already got an example of that to show you. Let's open up our drying cabinet, and I have these two 8x10s right here. They were squeegeed together, so they're actually holding, well, they're holding pretty good. It's drip drying, and I'm going to come back to that in about 6 to 8 hours, and they should be acceptably dry. In today's case, I'll probably leave them overnight, and they'll be good to go. So that way, the ends typically curl the less because the water is dripping off that side. Some folks alternate sides. I don't really mind too much. Once it's drip dried, I'll probably clip this end. Some people clip all the ends so they resist a little bit more. But if you over clip or overweight the paper in just point source areas, you might hurt the emulsion or buckle some of the paper, and you don't really want to do that. The great thing about fiber paper is if you somehow mess up the drying process, you can always wet it and dry it again as long as you have time. The more time you have on your side, the better it is. But I really prefer these print screens because they're very cheap to make yourself, very easy to find on the used market, and you can stack these. I have 10 or 12 of these guys, and they're great for throwing a show together. So I can load 4 11 by 14s on here, 2 16 by 20s. If I'm really fancy with it, I can get maybe 2 20 by 24s on here, 6 to 8 8 by 10s. Really, really good. And the third method that I'm just going to breeze over is called gum tape. It's an adhesive, brown, water-activated tape. And what you do is, when you have it squeegeed, you place it on a flat, clean piece of plexi, like the one we squeegeed it on, and you would dampen the edges of this brown gum tape and lie it along the image rebate. So this is better for images where you have a lot of white on the border. This image would not be a good example of it because the tape can sometimes bleed over into the image because the water-soluble gum will get into the emulsion. And it's not, in that case, it's not the most archival. It is reversible, but it would take a heck of a lot of washing to get that adhesive out of there. But I can attest, they dry bone flat. They don't have any semblance of curling. See, this guy's already really starting to get curly and will probably need to be heat pressed or weighted under blotters and books. So those are the different ways to dry your fiber-based prints. Don't be scared about it, guys. Fiber paper is so much nicer, so much more weighty than RC paper. And if you've ever messed around with RC paper and you notice it gets dimples and those dimples never go away, with fiber paper you can manhandle it a little bit more. You can really wash it, you can tone it, you can just do so many wonderful things to fiber paper, and it just has a nicer, I think it has a nicer feel to it. So thanks for watching, guys, and if you have any more questions, you can email me, matt.marrash@gmail.com. Talk to you soon.